Hello, everybody. So, this is a topic I've been wanting to discuss for a while, but just so much has been happening lately that I wanted to step back, make sure I got as much information as I could, and I also plan to link some various different articles in the description just in case y'all want to take a look and read what's going on. But basically, there's a border crisis. And one, it has not been manufactured by Trump. I'm going to say that right now. It has not. The reality is, this border crisis has been happening for God knows how long. Immigration, well, illegal crossing has just been increasing and increasing and increasing over the years in the United States that it's become to the point where they say, oh, there's only 11 million illegal immigrants, but some people are even theorized there could be double that or even triple that because some of the things that are happening, especially when it comes to the coyotes and the cartels, because there is also a opioid crisis in the United States right now, and it's not a lie that a lot of the drugs are coming from the cartel south of the border, and some of the tactics that the cartel has been using is they have been intentionally getting mass groups of like families, pushing them in a certain direction to basically get the border patrol's eyes on them as they've been running around through the diversions, basically. I mean, it's a very sound tactic, distract them with something else while you continue on with the mission. So, to give it an analogy, the number of migrants or illegal immigrants or crossers that we have caught in the numbers that they show have only been the ones that we caught. Those are the ones that we caught. What about all the ones that we haven't caught? Like, imagine it like this. You're going down the highway, right? And you get into a very bug infested area. Well, you're gonna, your windshield's gonna get hit by a bunch of bugs. So you're sitting there thinking, oh man, this is a lot of freaking bugs that are hitting my windshield. Well, then you also gotta think, okay, what about the bugs that are not hitting the windshield? Those that are going around the car, You're not hitting every single bug, nor are you encountering every single bug, because there's tons of bugs that are still going around your car, not getting hit by your windshield. I understand that's probably a iffy analogy, but I heard someone describe that analogy with the border, and honestly, to me, that really does make a lot of sense. Truly, it really does. So, honestly, there were signs way, way, way back then that we just didn't really notice. I myself didn't notice, but at the time, I was kind of young, not really into politics as I am now, but there were signs, and I believe the very first sign is what happened in Arizona. For many of y'all probably remember by now, Arizona declared a state of emergency with illegal immigration because Arizona was just getting flooded, completely flooded by illegal immigration. And due to the federal government's inactions, we're going to say, Arizona decided to practice their state rights and go, we're done with this, we're tired of this, we're going to do this on our own. Now, at the time, not many people really paid it much attention, let's be honest, especially the mainstream media. Now, the mainstream media not really giving it much attention. Well, let's be honest, folks, that's not really shocking. Now, why didn't they do this? Well, because it went against their narrative. The federal government did try to step in and tell Arizona, no, you can't do this, it's unlawful, we'll come down on you. And Arizona basically said, no, it's our state rights, it's our state of emergency, and you're not doing anything about it, so we will. Now, as I said, a lot of us didn't really see it. I'm at fault for that. But, at the time, the young Democrat that I was, I thought they were just being racist. Honestly, I thought Arizona was just being this giant racist mother effers that are just being racist against Central Americans because white supremacy, blah, 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 blah. But, now that I'm older and now that I've kind of seen more things, I kind of realized Arizona wasn't being racist. It's just you have so many people kind of flooding into your towns where in some cases, your majority citizens are becoming the minority. And in a lot of cases, the migrants are indeed taking jobs away from citizens because a lot of the immigrants that are coming into the United States, they are economic migrants. They're here seeking work so they can make money, so they can send it down south. And that's what was happening in Arizona. Now, whether or not you agree with Arizona's methods is a completely different situation. So, I believe that moment was when America really should have started paying closer attention to the border, but instead it was neglected, it went under the rug, and we completely ignored it. And because of that, that just gained it basically allowed the cartels, the coyotes, and just people fleeing from Central America, it gave them a golden window to keep coming in, coming in. And during the Obama years, Obama basically told the border guard to stand down, and then they offered catch and release, which, for those of you who don't know, catch and release was, yes, they would capture illegal migrants crossing the border, they would catch them, arrest them, process them, give them a court date, and then release them. And it goes without saying that a lot of those migrants didn't show up to their court date because why would they? They just gained access into the United States, and despite being caught, they have zero repercussions of that decision. So once again, that also encouraged more people to come into the border because it's like, hey man, I got caught by the Border Patrol, but you want to know what they did? Oh, what's that, man? They just gave me a court date and sent me on my way. You gonna go to that court date? Hell no, I'm a free man now. You see what I mean? It is what happened. And ever since then, the numbers of illegal crossings has just increased until, imagine it like a balloon. So you're filling the balloon with air, and the more air you put in, what's eventually going to happen to that balloon? It's going to pop. And unfortunately, we are at that popping stage to where there are just so many migrants coming across the border, trying to seek asylum, trying to seek refuge, that we just can't handle it. We just can't handle it. Look, these people, a lot of them are economic migrants. They're trying to seek work to support their families. I can get behind that. I feel for them. But a lot of the Democrats now, as I'm sure y'all saw the Democratic debates that happened, them especially sitting there speaking Spanish and everything else, that debate wasn't for the citizens. It was for the illegals, the migrants, the refugees. They basically told them that we're going to give you free health care, free education, free housing assistance, free job assistance, free welfare, and hell, maybe even free Social Security because, as Bernie Sanders says, Social Security is a right, not something that we don't pay into through our taxes for the rest of, our lives. Yeah. Good job, Bernie. Good job. So what I want to say, folks, is what's going to happen? Well, right now you're seeing tons of pictures and people are saying that these are concentration camps. Trump manufactured this crisis. He just wants to do it to kill all the brown people. He just wants to round them up and gas them. The Nazis did the exact same thing and yada, 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 because apparently Nazis are everywhere, including in Mexico. Because guess what, folks? Mexico don't want them either. And what I mean is they can't handle them either. Now, the cartel loves it. The cartel wants them all day because, they'll pay good money to get, into the border. That's some good coin coming the cartel's way, but the Mexican government can't handle it because, Mexico's government is basically run off American money. Believe it or not, we pay Mexico a good amount of chunk change, but yet their nation doesn't seem to be any better, and people still keep seeming to want to retreat Mexico. Same thing with Guatemala. Same thing with Venezuela. Same thing with Hamas, I believe it's called. There's a lot of Central American countries that we fund through emergency aid. Yet these countries are still absolutely terrible, and the influx of migrants are proof of that. And then here's the funny thing that's been happening more recently is it's not just Central Americans anymore. not even just South Americans. Africans and Middle Easterns have also been reported at the border. I mean, I want y'all to think about this for a second. People are saying that these are concentration camps. They're saying that people are dying, that people are getting treated horribly, but yet we now have Africans and Middle Easterns somehow flying from that part of the world to South America, up to Central America, and up to get to the borders so they can be processed for asylum seeking. Yeah, these places must be truly horrible to risk flying over the ocean as well as going across Central America. Now, you might be asking, well, why don't they just fly straight into, the United States? Well, because they'll get caught and probably hightailed around. It's a lot easier for them to go to South America or Central America and work their way up and join the rest of the migrants and the detention centers. Now, as for the detention centers themselves, you have to think these detention centers are only really built to handle a couple hundred people. They're not meant to hold thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. So, yeah, there's going to be overcrowded, there's going to be disease, and there's going to be a lot of other bad things that's happening because these people are flooding into the detention centers seeking asylum, and it's just overflowing. Once again, I go back to the balloon analogy. There's so much air that the balloon has popped, and now we're dealing with this. So, what has been some of the Democrats' solution? Well, a lot of the other solutions has just been open the border. Simple. Just open the border, let them rush into America. Not keeping tabs, not understanding, no venting to see who's coming in. It's just open the border and let them all in. Come one, come all, come to America. We're so great. That part is true. America is pretty damn great. But we can't just open the border and let them all rush in. And especially since they're being promised all this free stuff and support. So I want y'all to think about for a second. You may be a supporter of this. You may go, hell yeah, bring them in. Let's save these people. It's the right moral thing to do. All right, but are you willing to have more of your taxes taken away to support another family? Some people might go, yes, I'm willing to do that. All right, are you willing to give up that house that you've been looking at for a migrant family? Like, let's say you're living in just a small apartment and you see a house and who doesn't want a house? But the government has came in with, housing assistance for the migrants, and their government tells you, no, you can't have this house because it's for a migrant family. You might go, well, okay, they're helping. Let's say, what about your Social Security? All right? We as citizens pay into the Social Security under the promise that we will receive it when we're older. But as many Democrat politicians are coming out now, they're saying that Social Security is a right, and they're saying that the migrants have rights to these benefits. How long until did they say these migrants have the rights to Social Security, despite the fact that they're from another country and have never paid a single penny in United States taxes for their Social Security? They're basically coming in, getting a free ride to everything that we as the citizens pay for. Now, you might be okay, yeah, I'm still okay with that because it's supporting and it's the right moral thing to do. Now, what about your education? College campuses only can house so many people. And since the migrants and asylum seekers have been promised that come in will give you free education, are you willing to wait a couple years or skip a few semesters so that a migrant family can come in and take those classes that you were looking for? Or better yet, those classes you paid for. Think about that for a second. You pay for all those classes, and then you have a migrant family comes in and say, hey, the government promises free education, so in order for us to get our government promise, you have to stop taking these classes. Well, some of y'all might be a supporter of that. Okay, fair enough. And some of y'all might be also thinking, oh, but they promised to eliminate all student debt. Let me tell you, folks, that money, the government is going to get their money one way or another. All of you know that. The government does not fuck around with their money. If you owe them money, they will come at you. So even though they say, oh yeah, we'll eliminate all your student debt and you'll just be fine, but we're probably going to charge everyone else high taxes to pay for your debt. Think about that for a second, folks. What I'm saying is, this probably sounds like I'm sitting here trying to race bait or like I'm some kind of white supremacist, racist Nazi. No, I'm trying to show you the alternate point, because for every benefit that the government is promising a migrant and a refugee, it's costing the citizen the exact same benefit. Look, I firmly believe that there probably is anywhere from like 22 million to even 30 million illegal immigrants in this nation. And if the Democrats do win 2020, and if they do exactly as they say and they promise all the migrants this free stuff, you are going to see people coming out of the woodwork saying, oh yeah, I'm an illegal, do I get that too? Oh yeah, I'm an illegal, do I get that too? Because remember, not only are the Dems promising the migrants and refugees all these benefits, they are also promising to eliminate the border and eliminate ICE and blah, 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 blah. So you will see tons of illegals coming out of the woodwork to receive their benefits. But once again, as I said, the same benefits that the Dems are promising is the exact same thing their local governments promise them, and they're fleeing from it. Wonder why. I heard the whole, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice. Or, I'm sorry, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on you. This is just, oh, hey, this sounds good. Maybe they're under the impression, like, since we're America, we can handle it, when the reality is no. We cannot handle it because there's this giant balloon called the national debt, and that thing can't take much more air anymore. You start adding, we'll just say we'll meet in the middle, 25 million illegal immigrants receiving all these free government programs, that's only going to add to the debt and add more burden onto the taxpayer. And the best part is, they also came out and said that if you are a citizen and don't pay this taxes to support the migrants and the refugees and the illegals, you can be fined and go to jail. So look at it from the migrants' perspective. They're being told that they can be given almost a second life, and all they have to do is risk their lives and come to the border, while the citizens are the one that are footing the bill and will suffer the consequences if they don't foot that bill. That's why I say that the Democrats become more of the party of the non-citizen than the citizen. And I hate to say this, but it is true. A lot of these Central American nations do have diseases that we in America, and including Europe, has eradicated. Those people are bringing those diseases back. And you will see a humanitarian crisis of the diseases that have been eradicated from our home that will begin to reemerge. That's not attacking these people. Their countries are poor, despite all the United States government aid. Once again, makes you wonder. And then, you have people from Africa and the Middle East who are in the same boat, and they're starting to come to the United States because they feel that Europe cannot provide for them anymore. Because remember, folks, Europe did open their borders continentally, and it's pretty much just been a shit show since then. I don't even have to go into it. Just watch, Sorry on a Car, Bearing, Computing Forever, Black Pigeon Speaks. I think it got demonetized, though. Go to BitChute. Find them on BitChute. You can watch all these European YouTubers, and they will tell you what's going on in Europe. And it's really just, it's crazy. And we are fools to think that the same thing won't happen in the United States. In fact, if anything, I bet the Democrats are betting that the same thing happens in the United States. Because listen, folks, on top of the migrant crisis that's going on, the Democrats also want to get rid of voter ID laws. In fact, was it Elizabeth Warren? I believe it was Elizabeth Warren. She came out with a proposal saying that she wants to undo the entire electoral process that America has been running on for, damn near 200 years. She wants to undo it and create something new. Alright, so she makes a new form of of elections. They get rid of voter ID laws, which means all of these, I'm just going to say 25 million migrants, and if they are placed with the housing assistance that the government has promised them in strategic positions that might be naturally red, all of a sudden you might see a ton of red states go blue states because of these strategic locations. And I'm saying this because the Democrats pretend that they care. But a lot of these migrants' local homes, their governments pretended that they cared too, but the government just used the people to gain power, and they've kept that power and oppressed their people. Who's to say that the same thing isn't going to happen to America? However, I do believe that Americans are much more aggressive, and the government knows that they couldn't do it with the American people, so they had to pick their next people. Their chosen people, which it damn near ain't. It's definitely not the United States citizen. Now, getting into a little bit further, and I'm sorry if I sidetracked. What would happen if we opened the border and we let tons of migrants enter? Now, for a lot of people who defend that decision, y'all think, it's like we're helping people, we're saving people, and you're a racist if you don't approve of it. Well, imagine a town, let's just say a town of 300 people. Just a small town, 300 people, not big. Or, okay, let's go 1,000 people. How about that? A town of 1,000 people, more realistic. That's pretty close to maybe Pulaski in Virginia. And let's say all of a sudden 3,000 migrants or refugees move into that town of 1,000 people. Now, that town of 1,000 people has pretty much been, we'll just say, self-sufficient. They have been able to provide for their community and their people just fine. Well, now they have 3,000 plus more people, and they just don't have the funds or the accommodations to suit this people. Now, what else is that going to cause? Well, in the job market, you now have 3,000 more people that are going to be competing for jobs to support their families. Because, they just don't want to. Honestly, I believe a lot of people don't want to necessarily remain on government benefits, and I believe a lot of these economic migrants, they're coming here to work. They want to work so they can send money back home or support their family. So in this town of 1,000 people, you now have people just fighting for jobs. Now, what's that going to do? So if you open the border and just let anyone and everyone in, the reality is a lot of people that are coming in, they're probably not going to speak English. They're not going to speak the language of the people, the nation, the country that they're moving into. They're probably going to stick with their home language because it's what they know. So you send these people in, and a good portion of them may not speak a lick of English. That's going to create a divide in that town between the citizens and now this influx of migrants. And in other cases, the migrants might form their own communities within that community and kind of alienate themselves. Now, that's not going to be all of them. I will say that. But I believe it's going to be a good portion of migrants like that in that situation because all they had to do was come in here, say they're illegal, and they're getting tons and tons of government benefits, and they don't have to speak the language or nothing. So that would build a sense of entitlement for a lot of these migrants. And it is the truth because they're being told that they're victims and that they need to come here to receive all these benefits and live a better life. You get that victim status in their minds, to where if you say, oh, you need to, speak English and learn our ways so we can get together, they might tell you to fuck off, and they don't have to because you're the racist oppressing us. I understand that's probably a little bit of an extreme viewpoint, but considering how humans have been in the past, it's not that far off. So you have these communities coming in, jobs are getting, fought for, you have these people that are getting all these free government benefits and they may not have to do much, and then you have citizens that might work 42 hours or plus a week and they're barely getting by with what they have. Well, it's going to create jealousy and resentment towards the migrants because you have the citizen working his or hers asses off, paying in all this taxes, paying in all this crazy stuff, and then they have this new group of refugees that don't pay in taxes because the government has promised them all these benefits, and you're sitting there not receiving anything, and the government's demanding you pay more to support them. That's going to create a lot of division and resentment in that community because people are going to be angry because they're going to be all like, well, god dang, where's my benefits? Where's my social security? Where's my free education and all this other stuff? I just realized it in that weird southern accent. I apologize. But the reality is that what would happen? People would get very angry with this. And God, imagine what that community that just got a massive influx of nearly 3,000%, or I'm sorry, 300%. I mean, the hospitals might be overcrowded. A lot of the migrants probably don't have vaccinations like we do in the West. So imagine the disease that could come with them. And once again, that's not attacking the people. That's just stating the fact. Because they're coming from parts of the world that aren't as medically advanced as the United States. So they're going to bring a lot of stuff with them. And it's not all necessarily going to be good. And you hear people all the time saying that these people are going to make America great, that we need to accept these people because it's the right and moral thing to do, and immigrants make America, and immigrants built America, so therefore America is immigrants. Well, the reality is America was conquered during the colonial age, whether you like it or not. We warred with Britain. Well, first we warred with French and their Indian allies, but that's when we were territory. Then we warred with Britain. Then we warred with Britain again. Then we warred with Mexico. Then we warred with ourselves. And then we warred with the Indians until America was formed. America was conquered, whether you like it or not. It was not built by immigrants. Did immigrants come to America? Hell yes, because America was the best damn thing that this world had, because America had a democracy while the rest of the world was still practicing monarchy. Off subject. I apologize, folks. It gets to me. It really gets to me. It's just these people who defend this decision, that say we have to do this, that we are obligated to do this. No, we are not. We are not obligated to help anyone outside of our boundaries, our country. Now, do we do it? Yes. Do we have allies? Yes. But the thing is, we are not obligated to take in tons of people from different nations and provide them all this free stuff. Do you remember when Barack Obama, I think it was his first address to the nation, or was it his first victory? I think it was his first victory. He talked about fundamentally changing America. Folks, I believe this plan, bringing tons of migrants in, is part of fundamentally changing America. Now, some of y'all could be sitting there going, well, that's fucking stupid. What do you mean? Well, think about it. Think about it for a second. You bring in a foreign population by the millions and set them in areas, well, they're naturally going to want their new home to feel like home. I mean, for those of you who moved, like I myself, I've moved like 3 times this year, and, it's hard. Because you get used to one place, you move there, and sometimes you do feel a bit, you feel longing. You're like, oh man, I really miss that other place. Well, for a lot of those people, that's what's going to be for them. They're going to feel a longing for their home, so they're going to go in and they're going to make their own community so that they feel at home with each other. Because humans are tribalistic creatures. We love to feel a place amongst our own people, our own communities. And that's the truth. So when you have migrants come in, they're going to change communities to fit their standard. And then if the Democrats do get rid of voter ID laws and then eventually give all the illegals the right to vote, well, what's going to happen when they reach political power? Well, they might start changing laws to fit their standards instead of what's represented in the Constitution of the United States. An example would be, let's just say a bunch of Islamic migrants came into a community, outdid the community, outbred them, outpopulated them, voted themselves in political power, and said, okay, this area is now under Sharia law. Because that is our religious belief and our views of the world. We believe Sharia law is much more superior to the Constitution of the United States. Oh wait, that has happened. I believe it's the capital of Minnesota or Missouri. I think it's Missouri, if I'm correct. But it has happened. And the same thing will continue to happen. But the best way to fundamentally change America from the Democrats' view is just bring in a bunch of people from other nations so they can change it for them. I understand this has been a bit of a long video, folks, but as I said, I've had to really work in and really understand what was going on. You see tons of photos saying about how inhumane this is, and this is concentration camps, and everyone who opposes just tons of people coming in is Nazis and white supremacists, and the reality is no, we are not Nazis. We are not white supremacists. I believe a lot of us are smart enough to understand and look at human history and realize what will happen if we just bring in tons of people, especially people that are going to receive tons of government assistance without ever paying into the American system. That will grow resentment towards people. And as I said, when these people come in, they're going to be fighting for jobs, and they're going to be fighting for slots in schools. When the government becomes more for the non-citizen and just use the citizens as the cash cow to provide for their future voters, where does the line draw? Where does the line stop? I don't know. I really don't know. All we have to do is just look at Europe. And if you want to read the book, The Strange Death of Europe, a lot of the people that are in favor of just letting these migrants come in unchecked, they view America as this evil, racist, bigoted place that doesn't deserve to be on the planet. Well, guess what? There's politicians in Europe that view the exact same thing about Europe, and they are willingly destroying their nation. Now, to end things off on this video, some of the solutions I've been hearing, other than open the border, has been they were talking about doing phone checks and putting like ankle bracelets and monitor bracelets on these people and just let them go into the United States. Well, there's a few problems with that. So with a phone check, well, guess what? All they have to do is get rid of the phone and then disappear off the map. Now you could say, no, the government would take care of that better. No, they won't. The government's done a piss poor job at everything else. Do you really think they're going to try to hunt someone down who threw away a phone check, or a phone to get checked on? No, they'll just throw it away and they'll probably get a new phone or a new number, or they'll just won't use the phones again. As for the ankle bracelets, that is going to be quite the payday for the cartels. Now, what do I mean? Well, what I mean is the cartel will definitely take advantage of an open bordered America. It would be so much more easier for them to smuggle their drugs into it, and they'll probably, unfortunately, bribe a few cops who know what they're doing, and they'll offer to the people with these blankets, like, hey, you pay us a good amount of money, we take that ankle bracelet off you, and you're a free man or woman, or your family's free. Go on, have fun. Now, you could say part of the solution for that would be, well, if they want to keep their government benefits that they've been promised, they have to do this stuff and keep these ankles and monitors on. Fair enough, but why should they be receiving benefits in the first place? Why should we, the American people, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, why should we be forced to pay for people that are literally being gifted and literally being handed everything for just showing up? What about us who were born here? What about some of us who fought for the nation? Veterans like myself. The VA sucks, people. And I go to the one of the ones that are supposedly the best in the nation, and it sucks. So we need to ask ourselves, yes, do people have a right to live freely and prosperly? Yes. But do those people of other nations have a right to freeload off another nation all because their governments failed them? No, I honestly don't believe that. Because if a bunch of Americans were going down to, let's say, Mexico or Guatemala and basically demanding the same benefits of their government, they'd basically tell us to piss off. Folks, I don't know if you know this, but for all the great things America has been, there's a lot of nations, including nations that call themselves our allies, that would tell us to piss off in our time of need. It's the truth. It's how it is. I mean, hopefully America will never get to that, where citizens have to retreat. But honestly, it's not going to be under the God Emperor. It's not going to be under Donald Trump. It's going to be under another Democrat president. Someone who takes this religion of theirs of open borders and free healthcare, free this because it's a human right paradise. And they are going to force people to leave and force more people into poverty because guess what? Under their policies, I honestly believe the debt will burst and we will all be suffering, including the illegals who are getting promised all this stuff. And to the migrants that are coming in, all I have this to say is your own nations and countries promised you everything that the Democrats are promising y'all. Your countries failed you. Do you really think the Democrats are going to succeed where your nation failed? No, they won't. Folks, I apologize for the long video, but as I said, I had to make sure that I got a lot of stuff. I do plan to link quite a bit of more interesting articles that I've seen about the situation in case y'all want to read them and kind of just go through it. I hope y'all enjoyed, and as I said, just stay woke, I guess, in the good way, not the bad way.